was launched, and they said that they'd give it 6 months.
And now look.
Thriving. 19 years later.
Wow.
And you're stuck with us. 19
and now
years
look
later.
at us.
19 years later. We'll come back and talk about it. Big 550 KTRS.
Legendary broadcaster Mike Shannon and Eddie Scholler, owner of the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Eddie, what's all that humming about? Eddie, what the heck are you doing?
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Shannon. I was meditating. I was trying to find enlightenment. You know, inner peace.
Enlightenment? Inner peace? Open your eyes, big boy. Take a look around. You're at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eddie, at Fast Eddie's Bon Air, you can leave your troubles behind and enjoy the coldest beer in town. You can nourish your soul with the tastiest and the cheapest eats. Enjoy the sounds of live music and get in touch with nature at that huge patio of yours.
Wow, now I see the light, Mr. Shannon.
Fast Eddie's Bon Air is enlightening.
You know, as usual, you're right, Mr. Shannon.
If you're 21 and in the mood and looking for enlightenment,
5 seconds.
Eddie's Bon Air.
It's 622 here, Big 550 KTRS. So, Kelly Jackson.
Yes.
It has been an interesting and strange and bizarre 19 years here at the Big 550 KTRS. And so it was 19 years ago today. I was not in St. Louis. 19 years ago would make it what? 19... What was 19 years?
1996.
1996.
The savant just told us.
It's just minusing 19 from 15. It's not that hard. But
I'm like, what?
1996, they started. And I was not here. I came to KTRS, I guess, in 2005. Came to St. Louis in 99.
I was going to say, I thought, okay.
Yeah,
we came here around the same time.
Yeah, so I've been here 16 years, 17
Really?
years. Yeah. So as we were, every April 15th, it's also it's every April 15th the people who've been here from the beginning, the Dorseys, the Greg Kornfelds of the world, the Mike Breitensteins, the Farmer Daves, sort of talk about the old days, and Carney talks about the old days where they were in I guess their first their first incarnation was this WIBV. Which was this small little, I guess is it Radio Disney now? That was the signal. And then they bought this bigger signal, 550, and then they were off and running. But I just want to take a second. Again, we don't do this enough, and I know people listening to the radio really only care about being entertained and informed, and they don't really care about the history stuff. But at least we should take a moment and at least sort of explain what's going on in the world of radio and what the radio powers to be have done with this radio station and are trying to do with this radio station, because oddly enough, in 2015, the way technology is going and the way the world is changing so fast, I've had two friends of mine in the radio business, two different markets, call me up within 2 weeks of each other and say to me, unprovoked, wow, KTRS may be the safest place in the world to have a radio job today, which it was perceived not to be true a few years ago. Why is that? Well, we all know corporations sort of took over the radio world, right? When and Farmer Dave and Tim Weiland sort of talked about this a while ago, or last hour. When they deregulated it, then Wall Street got involved. And so, yippee, we can make money. And then it was a game of hot potato. And then it was buy at any price you could, because somebody else bigger and more powerful was going to come in and pay more for it. So when they got to the end of that cycle, buying and selling and trading and buying and buying, you had 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mega radio companies. And then they started gobbling up each other. Then you had maybe 2, 3, 4 left. And KTRS stayed local. And KTRS, the investors at KTRS are from St. Louis. They live in St. Louis. And the only
They listen.
And the only edict I've ever been given at KTRS is don't embarrass us and keep it local. Right? That's the only edict. And after that, they might say you're an idiot for thinking something. But they've never came to me, and I can't say that at any other radio that I've worked with. the money that is made here at KTRS stays here in KTRS and stays here in St. Louis, whereas these big, giant radio companies take their money out of St. Louis and move it to New York and then claim to be St. Louis local. So I don't think the story of Clear Channel is a clear indication of what actually transpired in the radio business. And this sort of goes and sort of is a feather in the cap of KTRS because, we just keep chugging along and the other guys play this other game. So Clear Channel, which is now iHeartRadio, back in, when did the world implode? 2008, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, it was
Right?
2008.
So right around 2007, a company called Bain Capital, which you remember as Mitt Romney's hedge fund, goes to Clear Channel and says, we want to take you private. Wall Street doesn't appreciate the money you guys are making. Your stock market's kind of low. It's in the 30s or something. And they said, we want to take you private. So Clear Channel said, perfect. Payday, buy up all of our stock. So Bain Capital goes around and they raise billions, I mean billions of dollars to buy Clear Channel. And they signed the paperwork. We have a deal in principle. Well, here's what we're going to pay, $30 a stock, and you're going to get billions, and we're going to get Clear Channel, and we're going to take it private. Okay, fine. Well, after they signed the paperwork, the world implodes. And the stock price goes to 2 or 3 or 4. So Bain Capital says, whoa, wait a minute. We're not buying this anymore. Okay, so then what happens? They go to court, and the judge rules, whoa, no, you guys had a deal. You got to buy it. So they had to buy it at the original stock price. So ever since then, Clear Channel, a.k.a. now iHeartRadio, has been cutting and slashing and slashing and cutting because they can't make up the money because the world's changed. So Clear Channel is they cannot cut fast enough. Cumulus is another company that, again, bought all these radio stations at the peak. Now, after the world has crashed, now there's many people who believe that they're financing their cash flow problems by buying other radio companies. So they're buying other radio companies using their cash to pay off their original debt, and then so they're trying to buy their way out of this problem.
Quicksand.
CBS has said they're for sale, so a lot of people think Cumulus is going to buy CBS Radio. When that happens, they're going to cut and slash CBS Radio, and yet, lo and behold, little old KTRS just keeps chugging right along. KTRS has more local programming than any other radio station in St. Louis. Think about that for a second. 19 hours of original programming at the Big 550 KTRS. The only thing we have syndicated or not originated from here is Jim Bohannon overnight and then First Light with Dirk Van. That's it. Everything else is local. From 6 a.m. to midnight, it's all local all the other time. And these big, giant corporations, which are so much more powerful and so much, quote-unquote, better, don't do that.
That is extraordinary. It
In
really is.
this day and age.
In this day and age.
In this day and age. So say what you want about all the other radio stations, but KTRS has stayed. I have been in those meetings where I've even said, maybe you want to save some money and go syndicated. And they say, no, that's not our mission. That's not what we are, which is pretty extraordinary.
It really is.
So for all the warts and all the problems and all the pain in the neck and the this and the that and the Dorseys are annoying, and that's true. No, it's not. Yes, it is. You got to hand it to KTRS. It's a one-man band. It's a one-man shop owned by a bunch of investors.
For sticking to its...
Right. For believing in St. Louis enough to say St. Louis needs their own voice.
Yes.
They don't need a voice out of New York. They don't need a voice out of Atlanta. They don't need a voice out of L.A. They need a voice for St. Louisans by St. Louisans.
And on another note, too, for giving those who are on air the freedom to do what they would like to do, especially you and what you have made of this show, it's really extraordinary.
Well, it's not me. It's Frank and Andrew.
Well, your idea and how everyone has...
Well, but it's not
made it happen.
Look, Frank Opinion is going to walk off the radio set and walk right into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Martin Kilcoyne. You don't get any more St. Louis than Martin Kilcoyne. John Carney went to every single high school in town. So, I mean,
What, was he kicked out of all of them? He just kept going?
yes, that's exactly right. Larry Connors has been in the market for 725 years.
Right.
Right? You've been here forever. Randy Naughton's been here forever. John Hadley, John Hadley's got mold growing on him. He's been here so long. So, I mean, these are longtime St. Louisans who are out reporting and talking and being St. Louis.
Right. And also the support staff, like you were saying.
Right.
Andrew and Frank, some really, really great producers.
And Farmer Dave. Farmer Dave's another one. I mean, he's talk about a great St. Louis.
Yeah.
So, again, I go back to what I said, is that these people from outside of the market, when I go to these national conventions, people come up to me, they don't understand how KTRS is doing it. How are you guys doing 19 hours of original programming? Well, because we're committed. We don't send our profits to New York. We reinvest it here in the station.
That's right.
So, happy birthday, KTRS.
Happy birthday.
How about that?
Happy birthday to you.
631, Big 550, KTRS.
To a particular business or organization by a friend.